Jacob never expected companionship on these windswept hills, yet there, on his frosted doorstep, sat a lone wolf holding something wrapped in silk that would shatter his world. The sun had just crested the distant ridge when Jacob Harris stepped out into the biting air, breath crystallizing in front of his face. His cabin, perched at the edge of Pinecrest Woods, offered the solitude he craved after losing his wife, Anna, to a sudden illness 6 months ago. He lit the oil lantern and paused. Hoof-like paw prints pressed into fresh snow led straight to his porch. There, under the lantern's halo, sat a silver-furred wolf. Its keen amber eyes met his without fear or fury. Instead, they held something unspoken, a plea for understanding. Carefully, Jacob approached, every instinct warning him to back away. The wolf remained still, head bowed, as if offering a gift. Nestled between its front paws was a small bundle wrapped in indigo silk, tied with a faded ribbon. Jacob's heart pounded. He knelt and unwrapped the cloth, revealing a tarnished wedding band, his and Anna's, and a single pressed rose, petals browned with age. Pain shot through him as memories flooded back, their vows beneath spring blossoms, their laughter echoing in the garden. Why had the wolf carried these tokens here? Who had placed them in the forest? And how had this creature, wild and wary, come to know the most sacred parts of his heart? In the startled silence, the wolf gave a low, rumbling exhale, soft and almost tender, then rose and padded away, pausing once to glance back at Jacob. Its gaze seemed to ask, "Follow me." Torn between grief and hope, Jacob clutched the rose to his chest, the wedding band slipping from his fingers into the snow. He watched the wolf disappear into the pines, leaving behind a trail of paw prints and questions that would draw him back into a world he thought he'd left behind. Jacob Harris stood on his porch, heart hammering as the wolf's paw prints led into the hush of Pinecrest Woods. He wrapped the indigo silk around his gloved hand and stepped into the snow, lantern held high. The wolf paused between two birches, head cocked, then slipped deeper into the trees. Jacob followed, each crunch of snow a drumbeat in his chest. The wolf threaded through a stand of frosted pines, moving with silent grace. Jacob's boots sank into drifts as he stumbled over hidden roots. His breath came in ragged puffs, cold air mixing with the ache in his chest. He remembered Anna's warm laughter. Now only the forest answered his calls. After 20 minutes, the wolf stopped beside a moss-covered boulder at the edge of a frozen creek. It lowered its muzzle to the ice, nosing aside snow to reveal another artifact. A faded photograph of Jacob and Anna on their wedding day. Jacob's hand flew to his mouth, and tears blurred the image. The wolf waited patiently, eyes solemn, then glanced upstream and gave a soft, urgent whine. Jacob crossed the creek on slippery stones, clutching the photograph. The wolf led him up a narrow channel of hemlocks, branches intertwining overhead. The air warmed as they entered a hidden glen, steam rising from a natural hot spring at its center. A gentle roar of bubbling water filled the silence. Jacob stepped forward, snow melting on the spring's edge. He sank one boot into the steaming shallows, warmth flooding his frozen toes. The wolf settled on the bank, gaze fixed on the cave beyond the spring's spray. Jacob wiped condensation from his lantern and peered inside. Inside the cave, walls glistened with mica flecks. Jacob's lantern illuminated carved initials, J+A 2016, etched deep into stone. Below, an alcove held a small shrine, Anna's wedding veil, tattered but recognizable, draped over a branch. Beneath it lay a journal bound in leather, Jacob's name stamped on the cover. He knelt, heart pounding, and lifted the journal. The first page bore Anna's handwriting. "My love, if you find this, know that our bond transcends time and place. Follow the wolf, and you will discover truths I could not tell you in life. Trust where it leads." Tears rolled down Jacob's cheeks as he traced her words. The wolf padded forward, nosing the journal toward him, then stared at Jacob's face as though urging him onward. Jacob stepped back toward the cave entrance, journal clutched tight. The wolf beckoned, weaving toward a narrow pass. Jacob followed and found a frozen waterfall, a sheer sheet of ice spanning 20 feet, slick and treacherous, with a deep pool of frigid water below. The wolf tested a narrow ledge beside the falls, pouring at a crack in the ice that formed a precarious path. Jacob's stomach clenched. He had never feared physical danger more than the threat of losing Anna's memory. Yet the wolf had guided him this far. Taking a deep breath, Jacob edged onto the ledge, heart racing. The ice creaked ominously under his weight. Halfway across, a section cracked with a deafening snap, and Jacob's foot plunged through to his knee. Cold water surged around him, pain and panic rising. He froze, lantern held aloft, breath ragged. The wolf circled ahead, tail flicking, and emitted a low, steadying whine. Drawing on Anna's strength, Jacob gritted his teeth and pulled his boot free, teetering on the brink. He gripped a rocky outcrop with one hand, lantern in the other, and inched forward, every muscle straining. Above him, the waterfall's frozen edge offered the only salvation. With one final lunge, Jacob hauled himself onto solid ground, drenched and shaking. The wolf greeted him with gentle nudges, eyes glinting with approval, relief. He could not be sure, but Jacob felt a flood of gratitude. Shivering, he sat on a boulder as the wolf settled beside him. He opened the journal, flipping to the next entry. Beyond the falls lies the heart of our love. Know its power and set yourself free. Jacob closed the journal, breathing in the scented steam of the spring. He realized that this journey, guided by a wild guardian, was more than reclaiming memories. It was a path to healing his own heart. Rising, he offered a hand to the wolf. "Lead on," he whispered. The wolf stood and padded deeper into the mist. Jacob at its side, journal and photograph held close. Together they ventured toward a secret that Anna had buried in the heart of the forest, one that would test Jacob's resolve and unlock the truth she so longed to share. Jacob emerged from the hidden glen's cave, water dripping from his soaked pants, the wolf at his side. The journal, Anna's final words, rested against his chest, its leather warm from the cave's steam. Ahead lay a maze of winter-hardened hemlocks, the wolf's paw prints marking the path deeper into Pinecrest Woods. The wolf padded ahead along a narrow ridge where snow gave way to rocky outcrops. Jacob followed, each step unsteady but resolute. Thoughts of Anna's laughter flickered through his mind. Her voice had once been the soundtrack of this trail. Now, the wolf's guiding presence filled that void. After a half-mile, they reached a clearing overlooked by an ancient stone arch, moss-cloaked and engraved with swirling motifs. The wolf paused beneath the arch, nose lifted to wind. Jacob examined the carvings, entwined wolves and roses, symbols of love and loyalty. He realized this was the heart of their love Anna hinted at. Beneath the arch lay a stone altar, etched with initials and dates. Jacob knelt, brushing snow off its surface. There, beneath a ceramic rose embedded in the stone, lay a sealed glass vial. Beside it, Anna's journal instructed, "Here lies my final gift, words I could not speak. Open with an open heart." Jacob's fingers trembled as he lifted the lid. Inside the vial, suspended in amber liquid, floated a single rose petal, the same breed Anna had pressed on their first anniversary. He uncorked the vial, inhaling the flower's faint fragrance, and read the accompanying note, "My love, this petal carries my voice. When you drink, you'll hear what my heart could not say in life." Tears filled Jacob's eyes as he held the vial to his lips. He poured the liquid into his mouth. A warmth spread from his throat to his chest, and Anna's voice, soft, clear, and filled with love, echoed in his mind. "Jacob, if you're hearing this, know that losing me was never meant to break you but to guide you to new strength. Our love endures beyond death, manifesting in every whispered wind and guiding paw. Forgive yourself for the past and embrace the future. Live for Anna and for yourself." Overwhelmed, Jacob sank to the snow, weeping with relief and longing. The wolf lay beside him, its head resting on his shoulder, as if sharing the comfort of Anna's words. Jacob rose, resolve rekindled. He clasped the wolf's fur. "Thank you," he whispered. "Now, let's return home." The wolf turned and loped eastward toward a distant ridge, homeward. But Jacob caught sight of fresh tracks, two-legged, booted prints circling back toward the glen. His heart tightened. Poachers, thieves, or treasure hunters who'd heard rumor of Anna's secret sanctuary. The wolf halted, sniffing the air, hackles rippling. Jacob followed its gaze. Through the trees, a pair of figures moved cautiously, rifles slung, flashlights bobbing. Grabbing a fallen branch, Jacob led the wolf in, intercepting the strangers. As they emerged into the clearing, Jacob stepped into the lantern's glow. "Stop," he called, voice firm. The gun barrels swung toward him. "What do you want?" he demanded. The taller figure, voice rough as gravel, snarled, "That's nobody's business. But that journal and that wolf," he jerked a thumb toward the wolf, "are worth a fortune." Jacob held Anna's journal aloft. "These belong to me," he said, voice trembling. "Leave now and you'll never find this place." The men exchanged glances. The shorter one stepped forward, leveling his rifle. "Or what?" Before Jacob could reply, the wolf snarled and lunged, nipping the man's ankle, teeth flashing. The man yelped, dropped his rifle, and stumbled backward. The other man raised his weapon, but the wolf charged again, forcing him to retreat. Jacob seized the fallen rifle and smashed it against a tree, then grabbed the men's coats, dragging them away from the sanctuary's heart. "Get out of here," he shouted. "And don't come back." The two, shaken by wolf and human alike, scrambled to their feet and fled into the forest. As silence fell, Jacob sank beside the wolf, adrenaline fading. He retrieved Anna's journal from his satchel and clutched it to his heart. "They won't threaten us again," he whispered. The wolf exhaled, ears pricked, eyes calm. Ahead, the ridge revealed Jacob's cabin smoke rising against the dusk. Home called, and so did healing. Jacob knelt, brushing snow from the vial's cork. The wolf nudged it forward. He tucked it safely inside his coat, then shouldered Anna's journal. With the wolf leading, Jacob and his silent guardian retraced their steps through the snowy glen, toward light, warmth, and a future touched by love that even death could not still. Snow crunched beneath Jacob's boots as he and the wolf crested a low ridge. Ahead, nestled in a stand of ancient cedars, lay a rough-hewn cabin he'd never noticed on his countless walks. Its roof moss-covered, smoke curling from a stubby chimney. His breath caught. This must be the sanctuary Anna had hinted at in her journal. The wolf padded to the cabin's door and pressed its muzzle to the wood in a soft knock. Jacob raised his lantern, heart pounding, and stepped forward. The wolf whined once, then looked back at Jacob, urging him onward. Jacob knocked. Silence. Then the door creaked open. Inside, the dim glow of lanterns revealed a woman at a wooden table, her hair silver-streaked, posture lithe and alert. Jacob's lantern light fell on her face. He froze. "Anna?" he whispered, voice raw. Her eyes, the same emerald green he adored, widened. She rose, smooth as a shadow. "Jacob," she breathed. He stumbled inside. I thought you died." Anna's lips trembled. "The accident. I survived. Wolves found me, carried me to this place. At first I tried to return, then I realized the world above had given up on me. I stayed to learn from them." Jacob's chest tightened. You lived here all this time?" Anna nodded, eyes shining with unshed tears. "I trained those wolves. Your guide among them is one of my first students. I hoped you'd follow their trail, so I could protect you from afar until you were ready to forgive yourself." She gestured to the hearth, where a pack of wolves lay curled on furs. Jacob recognized the leader, silver fur tinged with age, amber eyes still steady, the same animal that had carried his wedding band and photograph. Anna continued, voice tremulous. "I placed the band and the rose in places I knew you'd walk, trusting the wolves to lead you. I wrote journals to guide you. My final message was meant for this moment." She held up the leather-bound journal. "You've read it." Jacob sank to his knees. "I drank your message. I heard your voice." His throat constricted. "Why didn't you come home?" Anna knelt beside him, brushing snow from his shoulder. "I was broken, afraid you'd move on without me. Here, I found strength, and the wolves showed me how love endures beyond loss. But I missed you every day." Jacob rose, tears streaming. He reached for her, hesitated, then drew her into a fierce embrace. The wolves exhaled in a chorus of contentment, nuzzling her calf in recognition of their shared matriarch. Behind them, the fire crackled as the true purpose of Anna's solitude emerged. This cabin was not merely refuge, but a covert wolf sanctuary founded by Anna's grief and guided by her vision. She'd rescued injured cubs, healed them, and forged a pact that now safeguarded lost souls, children like the one Jacob had rescued earlier, and even Jacob himself. Anna pulled back, voice soft but certain. "I needed you to follow them, to show me that your love was still strong. Now if you'll stay, we can rebuild together." She offered him a pressed lupine blossom, the final token of her devotion. Jacob took the flower and placed it against his heart. "Stay. I'll never leave you again." Outside, the storm muted to a whisper. In that hidden cabin, father and wife, human and wolf, were reunited, bound by love, sacrifice, and a secret forged in the silent depths of Pinecrest Woods. The warmth of the hearth curled around Jacob and Anna as they embraced, snowflakes melting on their coats. The wolves, now relaxed, padded forward to press against Anna's legs, as though welcoming her home. Jacob's breath came in ragged sobs. Anna's tears glistened in the firelight. Jacob stepped back, cupping Anna's face. "I thought I'd lost you forever," he whispered. His voice cracked with relief and the weight of months spent imagining her gone. Anna searched his eyes. "I'm sorry I left you that pain," she murmured. Guilt rippled through Jacob. He realized how he'd shut himself away, believing life without her was impossible. He closed his eyes and exhaled. "We'll carry forward together. No more solitude." Anna ran a hand through her silver-streaked hair. "These woods have been my life," she said, voice soft. "But I've missed the world beyond. The sanctuary needs tending. Yet I want to be with you." Jacob took her hand. "We'll find balance." He rose and crossed to his satchel, handing her a notebook and pen. "Let's document the sanctuary. Create plans for a proper wildlife reserve." Anna's eyes brightened. The wolves' domain would gain legal protection and community support. The alpha wolf, fur silver-tipped, nosed Anna's hand, then Jacob's, seeking approval. Anna knelt and stroked its mane. "You are guardians, not just for lost souls, but for this family." She rose and addressed Jacob. "We'll train new cubs together, but first we teach them about you so they know a human's touch can be kind." Jacob nodded, feeling the wolves' silent acceptance as the foundation for their shared future. Outside, Marta's ATV rumbled into the clearing, headlights cutting through the dark. Jacob opened the door. "Marta," he greeted, then swept Anna into view. "She's home." Marta's jaw dropped in joyful astonishment. "Anna!" "We feared..." Her voice softened as she stepped forward to embrace Anna. "Welcome back." Marta dismounted and joined Jacob in a quick outline. Local wildlife officials were prepared to designate Pinecrest Woods a protected area, but needed Anna's testimony and Martin's sick bird sanctuary permit filed within 48 hours. Jacob's brow furrowed. "We have to move fast." Together, the trio, Jacob, Anna, and Marta, checked the cabin's radio. News had spread of Anna's miraculous return, prompting volunteers to gather at the ranger station by morning. Hope, the young girl Anna had rescued earlier, arrived on foot with Ranger Cole, peering wide-eyed as Anna knelt to greet her. "It's okay," Anna said, brushing Hope's hair. "For you're safe now." Hope's tears turned to smiles, and Jacob realized that his family's reunion would rekindle hope for many others. Later, as the wolves settled into their straw-lined den outside, Jacob and Anna sat by the fire. Anna traced Jacob's scars, physical and emotional. "I carried a world on my shoulders," she said. "Now we share it." Jacob squeezed her hand. "Together we're stronger." In that cabin, two lives slowly merged once more. A man healing from grief, a woman re-entering human kinship, and a wolf pack forming the bridge between wild and domestic. Each adjustment of heart, home, and calling set the stage for the next challenge, securing legal protection for the sanctuary and integrating their family into a waiting community. As dawn gilded the snow-draped pines, Jacob, Anna, Hope, and Ranger Marta gathered in the cabin's warming glow. The joy of reunion trembled on the horizon against four fresh challenges that threatened to unravel their fragile harmony. Ranger Marta unfurled a stack of county forms on the pine table. "We need a formal wildlife sanctuary designation," she explained. "But the county commissioners meet only once a month, and the draft ordinance is mired in environmental impact reviews." Jacob frowned at the pile of technical jargon, permit applications, zoning maps, fee schedules. "If we don't get approval by next week," he said, "developers might buy adjacent timber rights and fragment the habitat." Anna emptied her teacup. "I'll testify at the hearing," she volunteered. "As its founder, I can speak to the sanctuary's scientific and cultural value." Marta nodded, tension flickering in her eyes. "We'll need letters of support from universities, indigenous groups, and local residents, and we have to counter the timber lobby." The draft schedule placed the hearing in 10 days, precisely when winter storms often shut down mountain roads. Time was perilously short. Outside, the alpha wolf limped lightly on his left foreleg, a remnant of the frozen waterfall crossing. Anna knelt on the porch steps, tracing the scar. "He needs medical attention," she said. "Infection could set in." Jacob fetched the veterinary kit from his pack: antiseptic solution, bandages, anti-inflammatory salve. "I'll treat him," he volunteered, tone steady despite the wolf's bloodied flank. Marta arranged transport crates. "We'll bring him to the ranger station's clinic," she said, "but he may resist captivity." Anna exhaled. "He trusts me. Let me approach." Under Anna's soothing voice, the alpha permitted her to examine the wound. She cleaned and dressed it, murmuring reassurances, yet every step risked fracturing the hard-won trust between human and wolf. At sunrise, a group of local hunters arrived at the cabin perimeter, rifles slung over shoulders, brows folded. Their spokesman, old Frank Morton, cleared his throat. "Wolves kill livestock," he growled. "We've lost 3 goats this season. Sanctuary or no, we want protections for our farms." Jacob stepped forward, hands raised. "These wolves have never harmed your herds," he said. "They've been fed controlled rations and guided away from private land." Frank snorted. "Words ain't enough. Laws are. We'll push the commissioners to revoke any sanctuary status." Hope watched from the smoke-streaked window, heart pounding. Anna joined Jacob. "We'll need to negotiate," she whispered. Jacob nodded. "Let's invite their representatives to the cabin. Show them the wolves' collars and GPS data proving their range." It was a gamble, one misstep, and the hunters could mobilize a petition to block sanctuary designation. Inside, Claire Jensen arrived to help with the paperwork and comfort Hope, whose trust wavered at the hunters' threats. Claire placed a gentle hand on Hope's shoulder. "Remember, they don't know how caring your aunt has been," she said. Hope nodded, eyes wide. Meanwhile, Anna retreated to the loft bedroom, overwhelmed by the swirl of legal, medical, and social demands. Jacob found her unzipping her wolf-hide coat, tears glistening. "I felt strong here," she confessed. "Now I'm drowning in people's expectations." Jacob pulled her close. "We rebuild, together, at our pace." He helped her pack a small bag for a midday retreat to the cave spring, her sanctuary within the sanctuary, where she could center herself before returning to township pressures. Back at the table, Marta pinned a map marking volunteer posts, trail monitors, data collectors, student docents. "We need at least 20 volunteers before the hearing to demonstrate public support." Jacob called the local school board. Claire contacted university ecology clubs. In between buys, they sketched plans for a simple boardwalk around the hot spring to prevent erosion and a covered feed station for the wolves during deep snows. As Marta taped a sign reading "Open House, Pinecrest Sanctuary" on the door, Anna and Jacob exchanged determined looks. Hope added her own drawing of a wolf heart in chalk beside the official sign. That evening, under a sky spangled with stars, the reunited family and their wolf pack formed a circle around the cabin's fire pit. The alpha wolf, his leg now bandaged, padded to Anna's side. The pack settled, tail swishing in rhythmic approval. Jacob raised his mug of spiced tea. "Tomorrow, we face hunters, lawyers, and county commissioners. And we stand not only for Anna and this pack, but for every lost soul guided here." Anna joined him, voice clear. We will prove that compassion and coexistence are stronger than fear and profit. Hope, perched between them, traced Anna's name in the snow. The wolves inhaled the night air, amber eyes reflecting lantern light, an unspoken pledge to guard their human family as they prepared for the battles ahead. Night's cold pressed against the cabin windows as Jacob, Anna, Hope, Claire, and Ranger Marta gathered around the lantern-lit table. The 4 crises they faced, legal red tape, the wolf's injury, hunters' hostility, and community reintegration, were no longer distant issues but urgent realities demanding hard choices. Marta spread the draft ordinance before them, pages dense with legal jargon, exemption clauses, and zoning maps. "We need this signed by commissioners on Thursday," she said. "But if a winter storm closes the mountain pass, no one can reach the hearing." Jacob tapped his pen. "We could fly Anna in by helicopter, set up an evidence session at the ranger station." Anna's eyes flickered with hesitation. "That feels unnatural for this sanctuary," she said. "I built it here, in these woods. I belong in person." Claire offered a compromise. "Bring the commissioners to you. Host them here. Show them the wolves and the hot spring sanctuary. Let them see its value firsthand." Hope looked up, wide-eyed. "They'd come?" Marta nodded. "If we invite them for a private tour, guarantee safe passage, maybe they'll defer the vote." Jacob exhaled. "Then that's what we do, invite them here." Yet the risk loomed. Exposing the sanctuary, even to friendly officials, could leak its location and draw unwanted attention. Balancing transparency and secrecy weighed heavily on Anna's heart. Later, Jacob knelt beside the alpha wolf's straw-lined den. The wolf nuzzled his hand, limping on its foreleg. Jacob gently removed the blood-soaked bandage, Anna's antiseptic and salves at the ready. As Jacob cleaned the wound, the wolf winced and growled softly, trust fraying at the edges. Anna placed a calming hand on its flank. "He's scared," she murmured. "We have to be gentle." Claire's watching asked quietly, "What if he refuses the clinic?" Marta replied, "Then we treat him here, under Anna's care. Our vet can come discreetly at dawn." Jacob pressed the fresh bandage in place, voice soothing. "We'll protect you always." The wolf's hackles lowered, its amber eyes soft. Yet Jacob worried. If its trust faltered again, the pack might scatter, jeopardizing the entire sanctuary. At the front porch, old Frank Morton returned with 2 other hunters, brandishing a petition demanding wolf culls. Frank slammed the papers on the railing. "We've collected 100 signatures in 2 days," he snarled. Anna stepped forward calmly. "Frank, we understand your losses, but let me show you the GPS collars. See how these wolves avoid your pastures." She led them into the cabin and displayed a map of pack movements, collar data indicating livestock-free zones. Frank squinted at the screen. "This shows, maybe, but how do we know your data's real?" Claire chimed in. "We'll open our collar database to independent review, university researchers, local vets, anybody you trust." The hunters exchanged skeptical glances. Finally, Frank sighed. "We don't want conflict. If you keep these guarantees, we'll withdraw the petition." Anna extended her hand. Frank shook it curtly. Peace felt precarious. Only a fragile truce born of data and good faith. Back inside, volunteers gathered, curiosity and goodwill in their eyes. Students from the local ecology club shuffled papers. Neighbors delivered casseroles. Hope beamed at the camaraderie, but Anna's shoulders stooped. Overwhelmed, she slipped upstairs. Jacob followed. He found her by the loft window, gazing at the snow-capped pines. "Too much?" he asked softly. Anna nodded, voice hushed. "I built this sanctuary with wolves in silence. Now I'm thrust into meetings, press, hearings. I miss the simplicity of guiding lost souls quietly." Jacob placed an arm around her. "We'll divide tasks. Claire handles community liaisons, Marta the legal side. I'll supervise medical care. You, the heart of the sanctuary, will guide the wolves and me." Anna exhaled relief. "Thank you." She pressed her forehead to his. "I don't have to carry it alone." Jacob kissed her brow. "We do this together." That night, the family and the wolves gathered around the hearth. The alpha wolf rested its head on Anna's knee. Hope placed a hand on its muzzle. Jacob raised his mug. "To unity, Human, wolf, and community. Anna lifted a pen and scratched a note on the ordinance draft. Sanctuary tour, invite commissioners, university, and key stakeholders, Wednesday morning. She looked up, eyes bright. Let them see us by the hot spring. Marta clicked her radio to the volunteers. Prepare the guest trail, mark it, ensure safety, and coordinate the vet's discreet visit for dawn. In that moment, the four dilemmas, legal hurdles, wolf health, hunters' distrust, and emotional strain, found their initial resolutions: collaboration, transparency, delegation, and shared responsibility. But the true test still awaited at dawn, when officials would step onto sacred ground and the alpha wolf's injury could deepen. A pale winter sun rose over Pinecrest Woods as a convoy of black SUVs and unmarked county cars snaked down the winding road to Jacob's cabin. Inside, Jacob, Anna, Claire, and Ranger Marta prepared for the sanctuary tour, a private walkthrough for the county commissioners, university biologists, and old Frank Morton's representative from the Hunters Association. Hope, bundled in furs, watched from the window. Excitement mingled with nerves. Snowflakes drifted against the cabin's windows as the first commissioner, Helena Reyes, stepped onto the porch. Her breath fogged in the cold air. Behind her, biologists in parkas and a stiff-collared hunter's rep, Mort Benson, formed a hesitant line. Jacob greeted them with a curt bow. "Welcome to Pinecrest Sanctuary," he said. "Please follow me to the hot spring." Anna led the way, wolf collars and data printouts in hand. The alpha wolf, still bandaged, lay beneath a tarpaulin canopy near the spring's edge. Jacob noticed the wolf's labored breathing, its flank shifting unevenly, and a flicker of concern passed through his chest. Under Anna's calm guidance, the group circled the steaming spring. She pointed to lupine-carved markers and explained their ecological purpose. These plants stabilize the banks and nourish pollinators. The wolves protect them from deer overgrazing. University biologist Dr. Chan inspected soil samples, nodding, but Mort Benson scowled. "How do we know this won't attract more wolves and threaten our livestock?" Anna unfurled a GPS chart showing wolf movements confined to the sanctuary boundary. "See how they respect these corridors?" The commissioners murmured approval. Yet when Mort stepped forward to record data, the alpha wolf stirred, letting out a low growl that silenced the group. Mort's hand hovered near his rifle butt. Before Mort could speak, the alpha wolf attempted to rise and collapsed with a pained whine. Snow flew as its body thudded against the tarpaulin's poles. Anna and Jacob rushed to its side. "He's in shock," Anna gasped, checking his bandage, now soaked through with fresh blood. Marta barked, "Medic, now!" The university biologist, Dr. Chan, revealed he was also a licensed wildlife vet. He knelt beside the wolf, voice urgent. "He needs intravenous fluids and antibiotics or he won't make it." The commissioners exchanged alarmed glances. Commissioner Reyes's face paled. "Can you treat him here?" Anna hesitated, torn between showing off sanctuary robustness and the wolf's fragility. "We'll do everything we can," she said, voice tight. Claire laid a blanket beneath the wolf while Jacob returned to the cabin for medical supplies. As Dr. Chan began injecting fluids, Mort Benson cleared his throat. "A sanctuary that can't care for its own guardian hardly deserves protection," he sneered. The commissioners stiffened at his tone. Marta's hand went to her radio. "We're in violation of no interference protocol," Mort continued, "and these wolves are unpredictable." Commissioner Reyes stepped between Mort and the wolf. "Let's not politicize this moment," she said, voice firm. Yet Mort's doubt had been planted. Jacob returned, holding antiseptic and bandages, and knelt beside Anna to help. Their unified front somewhat quelled the disruption, but Mort's criticism lingered in the crisp air. Before Anna could reassure the group, dark clouds burrowed across the sky. A sudden squall roared through the trees, flinging heavy flakes and gusts so fierce that lanterns flickered and hats flew off heads. The hot spring steam was swallowed by the swirling white. Visibility dropped to 10 feet. Marta barked into her radio. "All personnel, hold position, do not move." Commissioners huddled close, teeth chattering. Anna secured the wolf's canopy, while Jacob guided Hope and Claire to shelter against the cabin's lee. In the howling wind, Marta's radio sputtered dead. Cell phones had no reception here. The university vet's satellite phone crackled. Emergency supplies en route, but can't land helicopter in this storm. The commissioner's driver radioed for extraction, but storm-blocked roads left them stranded. Dr. Chan crossed his arms, teeth chattering. If he doesn't stabilize soon, the cold will kill him, Mort muttered. An expensive rescue for a dangerous animal. Anna's eyes blazed. This wolf saved my life. For me, he is family. The squall intensified, forcing everyone to huddle dangerously close to the hot springs steam vents. Hope, clutching Claire's coat, peered at the injured wolf through snow. Is he going to be all right? She whimpered. Claire bent down. He's strong, he knows you're here. Hope turned to Anna, tears freezing on her cheeks. Anna knelt, pressing a gloved hand to Hope's gloved one. We will save him together. Hope inhaled, nodding. Jacob offered his hand. Let's prove this sanctuary's worth for Hope's future, and every life it protects. Through the tempest, Commissioner Reyes stepped forward, voice raised but steady. We've seen his bond with your family and your willingness to care. I propose we adjourn here, under these trees and within this snow, to vote on the emergency sanctuary designation, immediately. The commissioners huddled, muffled debate echoing against the storm. Finally, Reyes emerged. All in favor? 6 voices rang out over the howling wind. Mort Benson stayed silent. Reyes turned to Anna, snow plastering her coat. It's approved. This sanctuary is protected, at least until the full ordinance hearing. Cheers rippled through the group, muffled cheers lost in the squall. Anna fell into Jacob's arms, tears of triumph and relief falling onto the snow. In the gale's fury, sanctuary status was secured. The wolf's fate would be decided by Anna and Dr. Chan through the night, and the commissioner's faith would be tested by the coming dawn. Through the blizzard's waning roar, dawn broke with a pale lavender sky. Inside the cabin, the family stirred. Jacob and Anna gathered supplies for the wolf's aftercare. Ranger Marta marshaled volunteers to clear the storm-blocked access road. Claire comforted Hope with hot cocoa, and Dr. Chan prepared a makeshift field clinic against the flickering lantern light. 4 key threads now wove together in the shelter's warm glow. Doctor Chan examined the alpha's wound by the stove's warmth, gently removing frozen bandages. Anna knelt beside him, murmuring softly. We'll give him antibiotic infusions every 12 hours, Dr. Chan instructed. Volunteer docents assembled a padded recovery stall in the lean-to outside, insulated with straw. As the alpha rested, the other wolves paced anxiously around the enclosure. Jacob stepped outside, calling their names. One by one they responded, nose to hand, flank rubs, silent reassurance. Their cohesion sparked a new subplot. In caring for their wounded leader, the pack would coalesce into an even stronger unit, teaching human caretakers about collaborative healing. Inside, Hope watched as Anna invited Mort Benson, the hunter's rep, to help prepare a controlled feeding station. Mort hesitated, recalling his earlier objections, then donned gloves to mix venison cubes with nutrient supplements. Claire coached him. This shows your community you value coexistence. Mort's stiff posture softened as a young wolf pup approached, sniffed his outstretched hand and licked his glove. Mort exhaled in wonder. Maybe there's room for us both, he admitted. This act of shared stewardship laid groundwork for a cooperative wildlife livestock management council, combining hunters' knowledge with sanctuary guardianship. At the pine table, Jacob, Anna, Marta, and Claire sketched bylaws for the Pinecrest Wildlife Sanctuary Trust. They assigned roles, Anna as sanctuary director, Marta as operations lead, Claire as community liaison, and Jacob as finance coordinator, overseeing donations, grants, and volunteer coordination. They drafted a schedule for Sanctuary Saturdays, inviting local schools and indigenous elders to share traditional ecological knowledge, mapping ceremonies, and wolf awareness workshops. Hope's shy hand traced the words Junior Ranger Program, symbolizing her emerging role in the sanctuary's future. That afternoon, Anna retreated to the moss-lined grotto to regroup. Jacob found her journaling by the hot spring, steam curling like memory. She dipped a quill in mineral-tinted water and wrote, "Today, I am both healer and advocate. I will listen to the wolves and to the people, weaving both voices into sanctuary policy." Her resolve crystallized. She would author a guidebook on human-wolf collaboration, blending personal narrative with ecological best practices, ensuring that Pinecrest's model could be replicated elsewhere. Hope spent the day with Claire, designing wolf badges for Sanctuary Saturdays. When the alpha wolf emerged for a gentle leash walk, guided by Anna's soft commands, Hope shadowed him, offering treats and whispering encouragement. The wolf paused at her side, nodding as if acknowledging their bond. Later, Hope led a puppy patrol of 4 wolf pups, each tethered lightly for safety, showing Marta their favorite sniff spots. Her laughter rang like chimes, evidence that her trauma was healing through purposeful connection. In the evening, Dr. Chan convened a Zoom call with the University of Montana's Wildlife Biology Department. On screen, professors marveled at real-time telemetry from the alpha's collar and the pack's newfound stability. They proposed an online symposium, Human Canid Partnerships, featuring Anna's methods, Jacob's funding insights, and Hope's youth perspective. Commissioner Reyes, watching from her county office via video link, pledged matching state funds for habitat restoration and a permanent ranger post, transforming Pinecrest into a living laboratory for coexistence. As snow gave way to early thaw, the cabin brimmed with activity. Volunteers returned from clearing the access road, bringing medicine for the wolf and signage for the sanctuary's boundary. Hunters joined rangers in constructing predator-proof livestock pens, guided by data from Anna's GPS collars. Hope and Claire compiled invitation lists for the upcoming sanctuary ceremony, where elders, scientists, and landowners would formalize the trust's charter. Anna rehearsed her keynote, Jacob finalized grant proposals, and Marta coordinated security to ensure the wolves' peace. That night, the family gathered on the porch, sipping herbal tea, watching the full moon glint on the sanctuary's snow. The alpha wolf lay between Jacob and Anna, head on their boot, pack curled in a protective fan. Jacob lifted his mug. "We've faced storms, both literal and of the heart, and emerged stronger together." He glanced at Anna, her eyes alight with purpose, and at Hope, yawning against Claire's shoulder. "Tomorrow, the world will see what our love and a wolf's guidance can achieve." Anna nodded, her heart full. "Let them come," she said softly. "We are ready." Dawn's pale light struggled through heavy clouds as the Pinecrest Wildlife Sanctuary Trust prepared to host the emergency in situ hearing on Anna's land. Commissioners, scientists, hunters, and community leaders gathered in a semicircle around the hot spring clearing, an occasion meant to solidify the sanctuary's future. But 4 threats converged to make this day the most perilous yet. Commissioner Reyes opened the session by reading the emergency proclamation. Behind her, the moss-cloaked watchtower loomed in silent testimony. As she finished, a sleek black SUV roared to a halt at the clearing's edge. The door opened to reveal Leonard Kincaid, CEO of Evergreen Timber, a surprise challenger with a last-minute motion to rescind the emergency order in favor of an economic development clause. Kincaid brandished signed petitions from neighboring landowners, insisting that the sanctuary's restrictions threatened jobs and tax revenue. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Marta's jaw clenched as Kincaid laid out his plan: a sustainable logging pilot, partial harvest under scientific oversight, with guarantees of a 20-year replanting schedule. Commissioner Reyes paled. The emergency order, she warned, would expire at sunset if overturned here, with no immediate recourse. At that moment, a soft whine cut through the tension. The alpha wolf, still weak from his injury, emerged from the recovery stall and staggered toward the assemblage. His breaths came in shallow rasps. Dr. Chan pressed forward. "His heart rate is spiking, sepsis from the wound. He must be evacuated to a clinic within 2 hours, or he won't survive." Anna's face went ashen. Jacob gripped her hand. "He cannot be moved. He'll die of shock." Dr. Chan shook his head. "We risk it unless we neutralize the infection here, but supplies are limited." Mort Benson, representing the Hunters Association, stepped between Kincaid and Jacob. "I stood here for coexistence," he said, voice ringing. But if the wolves kill our livestock again, no ordinance will matter. We need accountability. A murmur of agreement rose among the hunters present. Claire moved beside Mort, voice calm. We've demonstrated 0 livestock losses in 6 months. The collars prove nightly ranges. Mort's gaze flickered with doubt as he scanned the wolf's weakened form. Volunteers, frostbite weary from clearing roads and prepping cabins, shifted uncomfortably. Some whispered that the sanctuary had become too focused on Anna's vision and not enough on broader community needs. Schools, clinics, roads. Elder Mary Samuels, whose family homesteaded these woods for generations, raised her cane. "We support the wolves," she rasped, "but we also need winter firewood for our elders. This ordinance must balance tradition with progress." Amid the swirl of demands, Commissioner Reyes raised a hand. "We will hear 3 final statements. Ms. Samuels, Mr. Benson, then Ms. Anna Harris. After that, we vote." Mary spoke first, her voice quavering but firm. "Protecting these woods protects our heritage. We've lived by the wolves' rhythms for a century. My kin ask for no more than respect for the land." Mort spoke next, softer this time. "I believe in this sanctuary, but we need a formal livestock compensation fund and clearer protocols for conflict. If you include those, the hunters will stand with you." Anna stepped forward, eyes bright with emotion. She scanned the circle: neighbors, scientists, hunters, Kincaid's lobbyists, and finally, the alpha wolf, lying frail but vigilant. She drew a deep breath and said, "I founded this sanctuary in grief, but I built it for hope, for each life at risk, whether child, neighbor, or wolf. Today, the alpha's life hangs by a thread. If we protect him, we protect the balance of this forest and our own humanity. I propose a compromise. We add a hunter's compensation fund, overseen by the trust. We establish a permanent on-site veterinary post, funded by state grants. We enact a limited, regulated firewood harvest window for elders, led by volunteers. In return, we ask that the emergency ordinance be made permanent, without carve-outs for industrial logging. Choose compassion over profit, legacy over expediency." Silence fell. Commissioner Reyes cleared her throat. "All in favor of permanent sanctuary designation with the amendments, raise your hand." One by one, Mary, the scientists, Claire, the farmers, even Mort's hand rose. Kincaid glared, then found no ally, his petition irrelevant now. Finally, Reyes cast her vote. 7-1. A cheer erupted. The wolves stirred, nuzzling Anna's leg in joyful recognition. The alpha wolf gave a soft bark, then closed his eyes. Anna knelt beside him, pressing his head against her shoulder. "You're safe," she whispered. Kincaid's mouth twitched into a reluctant nod as rangers moved to bind his logs with new no-harvest markers. Volunteers closed around the wolf's recovery stall with fresh straw and medicines. Mary patted Anna's hand. Mort clasped Jacob's shoulder. The community had chosen harmony over division. As the crowd dispersed under pale morning light, Jacob helped Anna carry the alpha wolf inside for Dr. Chan's final treatment. Hope ran ahead to fetch warm blankets. In that crucible of debate, danger and reconciliation, Pinecrest Woods had been reborn as a sanctuary, not only of wolves, but of human spirit. The crisp morning air was electric with triumph and urgency. The vote had secured Pinecrest's permanent sanctuary status, but the alpha wolf's wound had deepened overnight. Jacob, Anna, Ranger Marta, and Dr. Chan convened in the cabin's main room to make critical decisions before the alpha's condition turned dire. Dr. Chan laid out syringes, IV fluids, and antibiotics on the pine table. His vitals spiked at dawn. He's septic. We must create a sterile field and administer a full course of IV antibiotics here, now, he said, voice taut. Anna's eyes flickered between the alpha wolf resting on straw and the supplies. But we have no facility for surgical intervention if complications arise. Dr. Chan nodded grimly. I'll perform a minor debridement here. No time for transfer. We'll need volunteers to maintain sterility. Jacob, Claire, can you and Hope manage the clean zone perimeter? Jacob swallowed. Yes, whatever it takes. Claire set up barriers of tarps to shield the workspace, pulling Hope close. "Stay with me," she whispered to her niece. The pack gathered at the edge of the lean-to, quiet sentinels. As Dr. Chan prepared to work, a nervous murmur swept the gathering volunteers. The recent vote had drawn media attention. Rumored eco-tour buses had been seen traversing nearby roads, guided by now public GPS coordinates. Jacob's heart pounded. "We can't risk a crowd during this procedure," he said. Marta's jaw tightened. "I'll phone the county patrol. Set roadblocks at all entry points." Claire tapped her radio. "Volunteer teams, please redirect all visitors to cleared trails away from the clinic area. No photographs, no drones." The volunteers nodded, springing into action. From the cabin window, Jacob spotted headlights, 2 SUVs turning off the main road. He grabbed binoculars, tour operators, cameras in hand. Without hesitation, he stepped outside, lanterns swinging. "This is a restricted wildlife rescue zone," he called. "Turn back now." The vehicles skidded, U-turning under flashing patrol lights. Returning inside, Jacob exhaled. "Thank you," he told Marta. "We can't let publicity endanger him now." Marta placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Not on my watch." At the far table, Mort Benson watched the preparations for surgery. He stepped forward, voice steady. "I promised accountability. Let us hunters help. We'll volunteer the rifle's training hall for the wolf's physical therapy area once he heals." His sincerity silenced any doubt. Anna smiled gently. "That alliance will strengthen our bond." Mort nodded, eyes meeting Anna's. "This pack's protection is my priority too." Outside, Elder Mary Samuels arrived with mugs of brewed spruce tea, a traditional remedy for inflammation. She paused at the lean-to, her cane tapping the snow. "For ancient wounds," she said, pressing a mug into Dr. Chan's hand. The vet's eyes softened. "Thank you." Mary turned to the volunteers. "Your hearts guide these wolves. Never forget why we stand together." The volunteers clasped hands, resolve stiffened. Dr. Chan disinfected the Alpha's flank as Anna whispered soothing words. Jacob, Claire, and Hope formed the sterile perimeter, each volunteer handing needed instruments with gloved hands. Marta maintained radio communication, guiding additional volunteers to clear lines of sight and enforce the sanctuary's protected zones. As doctor, Chan made a precise incision to remove necrotic tissue. A collective hush fell, every breath and heartbeat audible. The wolf trembled but did not resist, trusting entirely in Anna and Jacob's care. When Dr. Chan finished suturing and dripped the last antibiotic infusion, Anna laid her cheek against the wolf's mane, murmuring ancient wolf language blessings she'd learned in isolation. The wolf's amber eyes closed, and a collective exhale rippled through the assemblage. No sooner had Dr. Chan secured the IV line than a sharp crack echoed outside. The thin ice of the hot springs boundary had shattered under overnight thaw. Steam billowed, the ground softened, and volunteers scrambled to shore up the edge. Jacob ran out to direct them. "Use sandbags, move the wolf pen back." Marta coordinated bulldozers on standby, digging trenches to channel meltwater away. Claire organized a human chain to carry sandbags. Hope passed small shovels, determined. Against all odds, the rescue and the defense of the spring's integrity proceeded in tandem, a testament to unity under pressure. With the Alpha stabilized and the spring fortified, the clock ticked toward midday, the moment when Evergreen Timber's CEO, Leonard Kincaid, could challenge the ordinance's permanence. A dispatch crackled. Kincaid en route to appeal the injunction in person at the Commission's office. Anna wiped sweat and snow from her brow. If we lose the ordinance, this sanctuary and his recovery could be undone by loggers entering tomorrow. Jacob's jaw clenched. Then we go to Helena Reyes now and plead our case in person. Claire retrieved Anna's notebook. I'll drive the snowcat. Roads are passable for now. Marta called patrol support. We form an escort. No more delays. Moments later, Jacob loaded the Alpha onto a padded sled behind the snowcat. The wolf pack followed, howling softly in solidarity. Anna climbed aboard with Hope and Claire, Marta at the driver's side window. Jacob guided the sled as they rumbled toward the county office, determination fueling every churn of the treads. As the snowcat crossed the ridge, Haloed by morning light, the sanctuary's fate and the alpha wolf's survival hung in the balance. 4 priorities: legal protection, veterinary rescue, community solidarity, and hunters' cooperation, fused into one urgent mission: deliver Anna's living testament, the recovering wolf, and the unified community to the commissioners before the industrial lobby could strike. In the hush between engines and howls, Jacob realized that every life they saved now would echo through Pinecrest Woods for generations to come, and that the most daring rescue lay just ahead, winning hearts and votes in the halls of power. The snow-packed road to the county office lay silent under dawn's violet sky. Snowcat treads creaked as Ranger Marta piloted the sled, carrying the stabilized alpha wolf, Jacob at its rear, guiding the makeshift bridle, and Anna, Hope, and Claire huddled close in the cab. Each mile carried them closer to the final crucible, convincing the full commission and rebuffing Kincaid's last-ditch appeal to enshrine Pinecrest Woods as permanent sanctuary. As they rounded the last bend, the frozen river valley yawned below. A plume of steam betrayed the hot spring's hidden location. Further on, the county office's weathered facade loomed, flanked by patrol cars and media vans, reporters craning for angles, microphones thrust forward. A barricade of yellow, sanctuary-protected tape cordoned off the entrance. Jacob steadied his nerves, recalling the wolves' trust, Anna's vow, and Dr. Chan's life-saving intervention through the night. He raised a gloved hand in salute to the alpha wolf, whose calm amber gaze met his. The wolf exhaled a misty breath, then rapped its front paw twice, a signal they had practiced. Marta pulled to a halt. Volunteers jumped down to guide the sled past reporters and guard lines. Reporters swarmed as the group disembarked. Camera shutters popped. Spotlights whirred. "Miss Harris, will you address the allegations that sanctuary status endangers rural livelihoods?" bellowed a local TV host. Anna raised her lantern high, casting soft light across her determined face. "I ask that you hear the wolf speak, not through words, but through its survival," she said. The alpha wolf's head lifted. It released a low, resonant howl that cut through the clamor, drowning out cameras' whirs. In that raw moment, the crowd fell silent. Journalists exchanged astonished looks. Human conventions gave way to primal respect. Inside, the commissioner's chamber was packed. Elected officials sat behind a raised dais, frowns stitched across their brows. Leonard Kincaid stood at the lectern, dossier in hand. "Ladies and gentlemen, economic development hinges on this timber. A sanctuary here will cost hundreds of jobs and millions in tax revenue." His voice echoed off wood-paneled walls. Anna stepped forward, Hope at her side. The alpha wolf, now sedated but alert in the recovery crate beside her. "You heard its howl," Anna said, voice ringing. "This wolf's life and the ecosystem it protects is worth more than timber profits. And this is my family's home, one built on cooperation, not conquest." She placed a bundle of signed community petitions on the lectern. Farmers, hunters, scientists, and descendants of the town's founders. "We stand together," she added, glancing at Mort Benson, who nodded in support. On her other side, Commissioner Reyes offered an encouraging smile. Jacob approached the wolf's crate, removed the sedative mask, and held a strip of cured venison to its muzzle. As the wolf sniffed and accepted the treat, it lifted its head, eyes meeting each commissioner in turn, as if imploring them to choose life over profit. That simple act of recognition, trust given and returned, echoed through the chamber, a living testament no speech could match. Kincaid cleared his throat. "This is sentimentality, an emotional manipulation. The wolf is not a valid legislative stakeholder." He tapped the dossier. "Facts and figures matter." Commissioner Reyes stood. "I disagree. This sanctuary model balances ecological, economic, and cultural needs. The community's voice and this wolf's life are equally valid." Murmurs swept the chamber. Kincaid's eyes flickered with uncertainty. Next, Elder Mary Samuels rose, voice steady. "I've lived alongside wolves since childhood. Their presence brings balance and renewal. I've petitioned, volunteered, and watched this community transform. Please, do not take this gift away." Mort Benson then spoke, voice firm. The hunters and farmers I represent stand behind Anna and this pack. We'll protect our flocks with compensation, not cull orders. We stand for coexistence. One by one, volunteer representatives, students, scientists, indigenous elders offered voices of support. The commission's tension dissolved beneath collective resolve. Commissioner Reyes cleared her throat, all in favor of permanent sanctuary designation, including provisions for livestock compensation and elder firewood access. Raise your hand. Silence hung, weighty. Kincaid looked around as hands rose. 7 commissioners in favor, 1 abstention, Kincaid himself, seated, his petition irrelevant now. Reyes tapped the gavel. Passage approved. The chamber erupted in soft applause. Reporters' cameras flashed, capturing Anna's tears and the alpha wolf's quiet howls of triumph. As the commissioners dispersed, Jacob and Anna knelt beside the wolf's crate. Dr. Chan checked its vitals. The antibiotic was taking effect, the fever breaking. The wolf's muscles relaxed as it licked Jacob's hand. Anna pressed her forehead to the crate's mesh. "You did it," she whispered. Hope placed her small hand atop Anna's. "We did it, together." Outside, Marta greeted volunteers, dispatching teams to stand guard until the wolf recovered fully. Claire wrapped a warm blanket around Hope, who giggled as the wolf's soft whine echoed across the wooden chamber floor. In that moment, just before the sanctuary's future solidified, just before the wolf's full recovery, the bonds of family, community, and wild had been stretched to their limit and proven unbreakable. The final resolution awaited, but first they savored the victory born of courage, cooperation, and a lone wolf's unexpected gift. Night had fallen again when Dr. Chan, exhausted but resolute, prepared the final infusion for the alpha wolf in the cabin's lean-to. Outside, snow drifted in lazy spirals, and the full moon cast long shadows across the silent woods. The stakes could not be higher. If this last dose of antibiotics didn't halt the sepsis, the wolf, and with him, the spirit of Pinecrest Sanctuary, would be lost. Anna knelt beside the wolf's straw-lined stall, her breath visible in the chill. Jacob stood at her shoulder, hand clenched around the vial of IV fluid. Hope watched from the cabin doorway, clutching Claire's parka, eyes wide with fear. Ranger Marta hovered nearby, radio at the ready, while Dr. Chan donned sterile gloves one last time. The alpha wolf lifted its head, amber eyes meeting each of theirs in turn, family, caregiver, community. Its flank heaved in shallow, ragged breaths, and a low whine trembled from its throat, as though acknowledging their shared determination. Dr. Chan found a suitable vein and anchored the IV line with precise fingers. Anna pressed a reassuring palm to the wolf's muzzle. "Stay with us," she murmured. Jacob held the wolf's collar, voice low. "Just breathe. You're safe." Hope edged closer. "We love you," she whispered. Dr. Chan began the infusion. At first, nothing changed. The wolf's eyes fluttered, breaths shallow. Then, suddenly, its ears flicked at Anna's voice. Its tail thumped once on the straw. Anna's eyes glistened. "He's fighting," she said, voice cracking with relief. As the antibiotic flowed, Anna led the wolf in a gentle chant she had learned from the old indigenous elder, Mary Samuels, a rhythmic hum that echoed the forest's pulse. Outside, the wolves of the pack gathered around the lean-to, pressed close as if offering their own silent encouragement. Their collective presence felt like a living heartbeat, bolstering their alpha's will to survive. Suddenly, the wind outside roared as a winter gale swooped down the ridge. The cabin's walls groaned, and snow hammered the lean-to's tarpaulins. The alpha wolf shuddered, eyes wide with fear. Dr. Chan shouted over the storm, "Maintain pressure on the IV line." Jacob braced the sled frame, holding it steady against the gusts. Anna wrapped her arms around the wolf's shoulders, anchoring it to her touch. Marta sprinted to the cabin door and shouted, "The storm's cutting off our supply line. Roads impassable in 2 hours." Claire locked eyes with Anna. "He can't fail us now," Claire called. Hope's small voice trembled. "Please, please be okay." The alpha stilled, breathing faltered, and its head dipped low. Anna pressed her forehead to its mane, tears mingling with snow on her cheeks. "You are stronger than this," she pleaded. A flicker of movement at the wolf's shoulder. Dr. Chan increased the drip rate. The wolf's muscles tensed, a single labored breath, then another. In that fragile pause, the world hung silent, will or resignation. Then a tremor passed through the wolf's body, and its tail swept the straw in a slow, deliberate wag. Its head lifted. Anna gasped. Dr. Chan checked the monitor on his portable vital sign reader, heart rate stabilizing, fever retreating. Jacob exhaled, shoulders sagging as relief washed through him. Even the gale outside seemed to soften, snowflakes drifting gently once again. Anna whispered, "You did it." The wolf rose on unsteady legs, strength returning. It took a tentative step forward, then another, pressing into Anna's embrace. Jacob knelt, placing a gentle hand against the wolf's flank. "Welcome back," he said. In the lean-to's flickering lantern light, the pack broke formation and surged in to surround their leader, nuzzling and howling softly. Their chorus echoed into the woods, an ancient song of survival, unity, and hope. Inside the cabin, Claire wrapped Hope in a woolen blanket. Marta radioed out. "Alpha stabilized. He's going to pull through." Volunteers outside cheered quietly, bracing the tarpaulins against the storm. Dr. Chan allowed himself a small smile. "He's not out of danger," he cautioned. "But tonight we've won." Commissioner Reyes, who had stayed nearby in a volunteer post, arrived with steaming mugs of herbal tea. She pressed one into Anna's hand. "Your sanctuary's future is secure," Reyes said softly. "But more than that, you've shown what compassion and determination can achieve." Anna nodded, tears shining. As the gale subsided, and dawn's first light filtered grey through the cabin window, Jacob, Anna, and Hope stepped into the lean-to. The alpha wolf stood tall once more, pack flanking him in a protective half-circle. Hope knelt, offering the wolf a morsel of venison. He accepted it, then nudged her cheek gently, a silent vow of continued guardianship. Anna pressed her hand to the wolf's head. "We'll protect each other," she whispered. Jacob placed an arm around her and Hope. "Always." In that crucible of blizzard, sickness, and doubt, man and wolf had fused their fates. The sanctuary's promise, etched in stone archways, sealed by community votes, and tested by this life and death struggle, stood unbreakable. As the first sunbeams glinted on the wolf's silver pelt, Jacob realized their greatest victory had been rekindling trust in each other, in the wild, and in the boundless power of love. Weeks melted into spring, as Pinecrest Wildlife Sanctuary bloomed under the careful stewardship of its human and lupine guardians. The alpha wolf, once frail and near death, now led his pack through thawing meadows, teaching his young pups to forage along the creek banks and patrol the sanctuary's shimmering boundaries. Inside Jacob and Anna's cozy cabin, laughter and purpose replaced the grief and solitude that once ruled their hearts. Each morning, Jacob stepped onto the porch to watch the wolf pack slip silently through the mist, heads high and spirits unbroken. He no longer felt the hollow ache of loss, but a vibrant connection to Anna, to Hope, and to the wild world they all shared. Anna, once a recluse in grief, now welcomed students and researchers to the Grotto Spring, guiding them with gentle authority in interspecies communication and sanctuary management. Hope, too, had found her place. No longer the frightened child curled beside the hearth, she led junior ranger patrols, identifying early blooms and tracking wildlife signs with confidence. On sanctuary Saturdays, she greeted visitors with a beaming smile and a badge shaped like a lupine flower, her own creation. She embodied the sanctuary's promise that compassion could transform fear into courage. The Pinecrest Wildlife Sanctuary Trust had flourished. Local schools incorporated wolves into their curriculum through virtual den cameras and live workshops, instilling respect for predators rather than fear. Hunters and farmers, once wary, now sat alongside wildlife biologists at council meetings, crafting plans for livestock compensation funds and rotational grazing that preserved natural corridors. University researchers published papers on the sanctuary's success in co-management models, and neighboring counties began drafting similar ordinances. The indigenous elders' wisdom, shared in Cedar Council circles, blended seamlessly with modern conservation science, creating a mosaic of traditional and contemporary stewardship. On the one-year anniversary of the sanctuary's formal designation, the community gathered beneath the moss-clad archway that marked the trail to Anna's grotto. Lanterns glowed at every tree, and a gentle mist rose from the spring's bubbling pool. Jacob and Anna stood before the assembled crowd, Hope at their side and the alpha wolf, now strong and regal, flanked by his sleek mate and their pups. Jacob spoke first, voice carrying across the clearing. This place was born of loss, saved by trust and sustained by hope. Here we learned that human and wolf, fear and love, life and death are threads in the same tapestry. Thank you for weaving your hopes into ours. Anna held up the leather-bound journal that had guided Jacob's journey. In these pages, I left memories I could not speak, and in these woods, we found new words together. Today, we celebrate not just a sanctuary for wolves, but a refuge for every heart seeking healing. As the ceremonial lanterns dimmed and guests formed a protective semicircle, the alpha wolf stepped forward, nosed Anna's hand, then lifted his head in a clear, soulful howl. The pack joined in, their howls rising like a hymn of solidarity. The sound washed over the clearing, and every listener felt a stirring of awe and unity. A hush fell before the crowd erupted in soft applause, an ovation for nature's sacred song and humanity's capacity to listen. In the warmth of the cabin that evening, Jacob lit the music box Anna had once pressed in his hands on a snowy porch. Its lullaby drifted through the room, a gentle reminder of beginnings born in sorrow. Anna tucked Hope into bed beneath a quilt embroidered with lupine and wolf silhouettes. Jacob and Anna sat by the hearth, the alpha wolf's silhouette framed in the window as he lay by his family. Jacob took Anna's hand. "We did it," he whispered. Anna smiled, leaning her head on his shoulder. "Together," she replied, "to you, our viewers." This story of loss and reclamation, of human and wolf united by love, stands as an invitation. Wherever you stand in your own wilderness of challenge or grief, remember that compassion can chart new paths, trust can kindle hope, and together we are stronger. If Pinecrest's journey moved you, please subscribe for more true stories of extraordinary bonds between humans and the wild. Like this video to support community-driven conservation and share your favorite moment in the comments below. Don't miss our next video, where we explore how ordinary people partner with extraordinary animals to rewrite their destinies. Until then, keep your hearts open, your steps gentle on the earth, and remember that love, like a wolf's howl, echoes beyond seasons and sorrows.